What's up, everybody? I'm James. Welcome to Mechanical Mayhem, and welcome to part 2 of the playthrough for Mechwarrior 5 Clans. Part 1 saw us go through the entirety of the Huntress arc and 7 cutscenes in total, which is pretty cool. I like seeing a bunch of cutscenes be a thing and not just them be sparse. Part 1.5 saw me try and break down your user interface for things like facilities and barracks and all that jazz, and to kind of explain it for you, to kind of break it down a bit more in detail so I don't have to try and do that amongst the different parts in the future. And I can reference part 1.5, and now we're here for part 2. Part 2 is going to see us play our very first mission after the tutorial arc, so we are now in Inner Sphere space, more or less, getting ready to assault. And this is where the campaign really starts in earnest. So that's pretty exciting. Thanks so much for taking the time to click on this video. I hope you enjoy watching through it. Definitely share your thoughts in the comments section. Consider subscribing if you enjoy yourself. I would definitely appreciate it. It'd help me out. And there's a link in the video description to my Twitch channel if you want to go ahead and leave a follow there, which is free to do, so you can be alerted, hopefully, when I go live. You want to be part of live conversation. I play Mechwarrior stuff and some non-Mechwarrior stuff as well, just as an FYI. So with all that out of the way, let's get on with this playthrough. Alright, part 2. We are going into the campaign in earnest now. The Huntress arc is more or less the tutorial arc and immersion into the start of clan cultural understanding for this fictional setting, which is cool. But after all those cutscenes, we are now at Santander, and we are going to be starting the campaign proper. As you saw, we have a whole different star of mechs because we're no longer in the tutorial, so now we actually have proper starting weight and mech usage. Did a little bit of upgrading, both in the mech bay, did repair efficiency once, and then I did upgrade salvage operations and upgrade science lab. The goal is to keep my repair capabilities maxed out so I can always have my mechs fully repaired, but prioritizing research and salvage components specifically so I can do that research as often as possible. So that's my personal goal. In any case, this is the mission briefing on Mission Central for Touchdown. You can pause and read this if you want. It gives us visibility and biome and mission type to kind of give you a heads up on what you're looking at. And then we get the actual briefing. So, we were included in the bid to take this world. This is a great staging zone. As you can see, it's pretty close by Inner Sphere space proper and will allow us to basically refit and resupply should we jump from the home worlds to Inner Sphere for conquest. So very useful to have it. But it's ruled by pirates. Pirates are everywhere in sci-fi, so it's not just something of our past. It's something that was in our present and something that will be in our future. And it's here in Battletech. So we gotta take this pirate out. Now, we were included as part of the bid to retake the world. It's a very subtle thing they said there, but it's important. Clans bid to do things. It's kind of like contracts to make something for like government issue is done by the lowest bidder. Same deal here, only it's considered more honorable to use less to achieve more. So whoever bids the lowest is now going to get the honor of carrying out that mission or campaign set up, like taking this world. The thing is, you have to succeed. So if you bid really low, it could be set up for failure. So you gotta be careful. We don't do any bidding. We're just been included in it, which is why we're seeing our loadout the way we are, and which is why we're gonna see what we're gonna see throughout the time here on Santander. So once you accept the mission, you go right to deployment, but you can always back out, and I show you the next drop. You can click on that to get right back to your drop-in. So no matter where you're at, if you're looking at your mech bay or whatever, you can go right to loading into your mission. In any case, we are included in the bid to take this world, so you know we're the player. So of course we are. Now, the pirates agreed to the patrol. Of course, you can't trust that. And while Clan Smoke Jaguar gets called foolish for believing this, I really don't think they wholeheartedly believe they were going to get an honorable patrol style of fight like they would in the homeworlds, but rather that accepting this would mean that there was going to be a fight and it was going to be decisive in an area that's not really inhabited. You see, the clans aren't looking to level whole cities, really. What they want to do is win the battle and conquer. And they want to keep infrastructure intact, which is why these patrols are typically given. So I think that was their ultimate hope. Not that we're going to see honor among a den of pirates. That's the way I read into it anyway, but, you know, that's just me. I am biased after all. But in any case, we have quite the sight in front of us in the form of 3 dropships, as Jaden will be telling us. These are Union class, so they're no slouches. They don't appear to be active, but they are quite dangerous. One alone can be quite dangerous, and there's a triple threat right there. So things automatically get kind of spicy right from the get-go on our first mission, which is pretty cool. We do not have our tutorial mechs. We instead have 4 lights and a medium. Star Commander has the medium. Of course, you could swap it if you wanted to, but I don't want to, so I didn't. And the medium mech's a Viper. It's a Viper Prime. They're all in their Prime configuration as we scan these dropships to see if anything's going on. But we don't have any mech experience to unlock any Omnipod loadouts just yet. It's our first mission after all. But the Viper is a medium mech with jump jets, and I don't dislike the Viper, but it's definitely not one of my specific top picks for a medium mech amongst the clans. But it makes the most sense for why it's chosen. It's not over the top of powerful. It's not over the top tanky. It's light in terms of being a medium mech, so it's not super heavy in that class of category by weight either. So it's a nice blending of different things to let the player get accustomed to things, have a little bit of leeway because of a little bit extra armor being a medium mech and all that. But the Viper's inner-sphere designation is Dragonfly because it lacks, you know, real serious punch in comparison to some of the other clan mechs out there. And that's totally accurate, but it's still definitely a threat. I'm just not a big fan of it, especially its primary configuration, which is 2 medium pulse lasers, an SRM-4, which is short range missile 4. It's not even a streak, and 2 machine guns with anti-missile system, which is nice. So our allies are loaded for bear by having a Warhawk and a bunch of heavies there, and they dropped in with elementals. Elementals are really cool. They are battle armor, and they're also a phenotype of Trueborn Warrior, and they can rip apart mechs with their battle armor hand. As we encounter vehicles, as you come to kind of expect for a first mission thing, we're not going to get thrown against an assault mech or anything like that. We're going to get thrown against vehicles typically, and that's true here. But yeah, elementals make a pretty cool video game, I think. Probably best to do it in a third-person perspective, despite my preference for first-person. But in a third-person, we could do a bit more platforming, bounding jumps, as they do jump across the battlefield with their jump jets, giving them the inner-sphere designation of Toad. And they breach things. You know, they'll breach facilities. They're breaching those drop ships. They do headhunter configurations as well for dealing with enemy HQ. And they also can jump onto and rip apart enemy battle mechs and take them down. So it can make a really, really cool game, and a bit of a different game than what we typically get from the Battletech universe. Anyways, we're approaching this outpost, and we're facing a Riverjack. We're going to see the Riverjack a little bit more throughout this campaign. I look at it as a glorified futuristic Jeep. The Harasser is a pretty decent workhorse hover vehicle, but it's still just a vehicle. They're not as dangerous, especially the lighter vehicles, as mechs are. And now we're getting some mech action. So here we are dealing with a spider. We have an insect lance, more or less, here, or near full lance, more or less, here with a spider. And there's going to be a locust and a flea. Nothing says danger like that. But anyways, running headlong into the Locust, as there are also some Igor VTOLs here. The Spider, the Locust, the Fleet, they can be a nuisance, especially in something like Mechwarrior Online with special configurations. But when you're dealing with them in a situation like this that we're in, they're really not that dangerous. These are things that are thrown at you so you can just be better at, or get better, I should say, with your movements and everything else, and your target acquisition and issuing orders. It's a nice little way to ease you into the game proper. That's what the lights tend to be in games like this. So with that said, we're scanning stuff for the mission to progress, as well as scanning stuff to refill ammo and give us components to salvage at the end of this mission. All in all, pretty small ramshackle outpost style thing that we damaged a lot of by taking out those mechs and those vehicles. So we are moving out. We are going to rejoin the other star, see what's going on, try to get somebody to fight us, more or less, right? We're out here. We fought very little, especially for a full-on star. Now that's an explosion with a nice shockwave bit thing there that happened to us. That is massive. So elementals are taken out. They were in the dropships. The dropships what basically exploded. So the elementals are gone. We have the Warhawk no longer reading on our sensors, and we have things like the Mad Dog and the Summoner and the Timberwolf damaged. Right, we have a crippled star more or less because they're down in numbers and they're damaged. So now this just became a protect our heavier star as they also fight and still are dealing plenty of better damage than we're going to be able to. But the thing is, they're facing fresh components or fresh opponents. I don't know why I said components there. So that's not good because enough of them will whittle down an already haggard, heavier, superior star. So this is a lot of stuff we just got thrown at us, right? After all the stuff we did, and it's not over. The Blackjack was a medium mech. We got a Locust, which is just hell bent on ramming, apparently. But yeah, this is a lot. There's several reasons for this. We have this crippled star supporting us, and they are of heavier weight and more firepower, so there's that. But on top of that, we're also a full-on star ourselves, right? We're not like in Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, there's another Blackjack. We're not like in Mercenaries where you're just by yourself for the first mission or two. We're, from the get-go, a full-fledged star. So that means we can take on more things because there's 5 of us. On top of that, we're all clan tech. Clan tech is superior technology, therefore we could deal with more things because one of our biggest advantages is range, which I need to be better at leveraging, but I'm also, never claimed to be good. But when you leverage your technology and lore-wise our superior training, aka not being an AI, right? And so it's superior technology, we have a full-on star, and in this case we have support. The game's able to really throw stuff at you, and it is. We have a Shadowhawk here, another medium mech. We have a Panther that I ran into. I don't know why I'm running into all the enemy mechs, but I literally am. So we have a Panther. It's a light mech, but it can be a pretty... You can pack a pretty decent punch, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And we've had vehicles throughout this as well, plus the mechs and vehicles we dealt with at the very beginning of this campaign mission. And that's a Cicada, another medium mech. Granted, it's not the strongest, but it's still a medium. It's still tonnage. That's harder to take down than lightweight. Speaking of lightweight, here they come. But you throw all this together at you, especially in waves, to whittle things down, and you can see that, especially because I'm not paying the best attention to taking things out, my mech's getting pretty damaged. We have our heavy allies taking damage. My rest of my star's taking some damage. That's a Centurion, which is also not a slouch. And that's after dealing with all the other stuff. So we got a lot to deal with here. Get used to this. This is kind of the name of the game of the entirety of the campaign, by the way. We're always going to be up against the 8-ball. Part of that is the bidding, where we're just going to naturally have more odds stacked against us, and we're meant to persevere and overcome through training and technology. And I think part of that is the developers maybe getting a little carried away in some of the missions, to be honest with you, but it's still definitely a worthwhile thing to play through if you're a fan. And that's a Rifleman. I gotta say, I am a big fan of the Rifleman chassis. I just think it looks really cool and all the different designs it's had over the lifespan of this game. And while they don't tend to pack that much armor, they make up for it by having a pretty decent punch, so you gotta be careful. And that is backed up by an Assassin, which is a medium mech. There's a Vulcan in there, which is another medium mech. And then I think it's a Firestarter and... I don't know what else to round it out. Maybe it's just the Firestarter to round it out, to be honest. But yeah, the Rifleman, as you can see, we're doing a pretty good job burning it down, but it's literally being focused on by my entire star. And it's not going quietly, that's for sure. But we are able to do some pretty decent work onto it pretty quickly, which we should. We outweigh it as a full star, so we better take it down pretty effectively. Vulcan's nearly dealt with, and the Firestarter, I believe, is the last one standing, which is unfortunate because it's a lightweight and taken out. And that's basically it for your very first mission after your tutorial. Right from the get-go, it sets the stage of you're in it, right? You're in the thick of it. This is an invasion. Right, this isn't fulfilling contracts or skipping around the star map. This is an invasion, and you are here to crush the enemy, and there's no quarter really being given in situations like this. And, well, you know, the enemy's got numbers where you have finite numbers, and they throw that at you. I actually really like this feel and setup. So, we have... our damage, you can see I took some decent damage there. We have mech experience for the first time. We're going to be accruing this because I am going for evasion, just as a heads up. And our salvage components. This is a screen. You can adjust it. Right now I'm just trying to get all the components, or all three types. I'm not looking to just get one type over another. So we are going to not mess with that too much specifically. But that does mean we can do some research. So I'm going to do some basic research, and as you saw on mechs, then it's not that the mechs are fully repaired now. What they're showing you in terms of the repair is by the time your next mission starts, what your mechs will be like. So if you looked at, if we went more in depth on those mechs and I took off repair technicians, you see the mech repair would drop. So basically, in between missions, what you're looking at is how ready your mechs will be by the time you do your next mission. Just so, you know. Hopefully that makes some sort of sense. Anyways, my plan for researching things is to research specific equipment that I like using and that I want to have unlocked on top of armor and structural upgrades as well. So, yeah, that's the research kind of in action. You're going to be seeing that a lot in the mech bay a lot. But we did just finish a mission, and we did get experience for our mechs because of that. And this means we can unlock things. Now, we don't have enough to unlock the Viper A, which is a configuration I do enjoy because it's very laser heavy. But we do have enough to unlock Viper B, which I also like because it has my favorite energy equipment, the ERPPC. So, this makes the Viper more tolerable for me, so I'm going to change it out right away. My goal is to try and unlock as many different configurations as I can of the mechs without compromising the mission. So I don't want to be like 100-ton drop weight shy, for example, but I'm going to do what I can to unlock as much as I can. Now, one thing about mech experience, the way it appears to me, and if I'm mistaken, please clarify it in the comments. But when you're fielding more than one, that's more experience because you have different pilots accruing mech experience to unlock stuff. So this is why I believe the Arctic Cheetah has a higher experience total when we go to unlock something than the Viper did, because we had 2 Arctic Cheetahs in our star. At least that's my story, and I'm sticking to it until I find out more. So we're going to unlock an energy configuration because that's what I do. But it's a pretty stout configuration for a light mech. And our star is looking pretty good for what it is. I don't know really what I'm going to unlock fully. Like, for example, for the Mistlinks or anything like that. But the goal is just to have the Omnipods unlocked, because eventually I do want to play around with some custom loadouts and, go over that in the future outside of this playthrough. So might as well have the Omnipods unlocked as best I can. In any case, that was our first mission, our first taste of combat against the Inner Sphere, where we really got to see how our technology really helps give us an edge. And that's all. So thanks for sticking through it. Until the next one, take care.